Welcome back to the channel. Today's case takes us to the quiet town of Riverton, Wyoming in the early 1930s, a time when the world was recovering from the Great Depression and life in small-town America moved at a slow, trusting pace. But behind the calm of this rural community lies one of the oldest and most unsettling disappearances in Wyoming's history, the story of Olga Mauger, a woman who stepped out of her home one evening in 1934 and was never seen again. Her case remains unsolved to this day, a mystery that left more questions than answers, and a shadow that lingers nearly a century later. So what really happened to Olga Mauger? Was it a tragic accident, a desperate escape, or something much darker? Let's find out. The year was 1934, and Wyoming was a land of open plains, oil fields, and close-knit communities. Riverton, a small town surrounded by farmland and the winding Wind River, was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. Among its residents was Olga Mauger, a 34-year-old mother of two and the wife of William Mauger, a local mechanic and oil worker. By all accounts, Olga was dependable, soft-spoken, and devoted to her family. She wasn't known to take risks or make sudden decisions. She worked hard, attended church, and was well-liked by neighbors who described her as quiet but kind. Life for the Mauger family seemed typical for the time, modest but stable. They lived in a small home not far from the edge of town, where the gravel roads gave way to stretches of open prairie. But beneath the surface of their quiet family life, something was off. Friends would later tell investigators that Olga had seemed distant in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. Some said she looked worried. Others said she was spending more time alone, sometimes taking long walks out by the river after sunset. Nobody could have guessed those walks would soon become the focus of a haunting investigation. It was October 17th, 1934, a chilly Wednesday evening. The Mauger children were inside, getting ready for bed. William claimed that Olga had been unusually quiet during dinner. Then, sometime around 8:30 p.m., she stood up, put on her coat, and told him she was stepping out for a bit of air. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. When she didn't return home by midnight, William said he assumed she'd gone to stay with her sister in nearby Hudson, something she had done once before after an argument. But by morning, there was still no sign of her. He reported her missing the next day. Local law enforcement immediately began a search of the surrounding area, the fields, roads, and the banks of the Wind River. Townspeople volunteered to help. Horses and wagons combed through the brush, while others scoured the roads leading out of town. But there was nothing. No footprints, no dropped belongings, not even a piece of clothing. The only possible clue came days later when a farmer claimed he'd seen a woman matching Olga's description walking near the old Fremont Bridge, a mile from the river. But when deputies searched that area, they again found nothing. The official investigation into Olga Mauger's disappearance lasted for months, and it quickly became one of the strangest missing person cases Wyoming had ever seen. At first, police treated it as a voluntary disappearance. They believed Olga might have left home on her own, perhaps overwhelmed by stress or marital problems. But as time went on, that theory began to fall apart. Olga had left behind all her personal belongings, her purse, identification, and even her coat on the back of a chair. Her bank account remained untouched. She hadn't packed a bag, taken money, or sent any letters. It didn't make sense. Detectives turned their attention to her husband, William Mauger. By all accounts, William was cooperative, but inconsistencies began to emerge. Neighbors reported hearing raised voices from the Mauger home the night before Olga vanished. Some even claimed they heard what sounded like a door slam and a car starting around 9 p.m., about half an hour after she supposedly went for that walk. When questioned, William denied any argument, saying they had talked, but nothing serious. Investigators began to suspect foul play, but without a body, no physical evidence, and no witnesses, their hands were tied. As weeks turned into months, rumors filled the void left by the lack of answers. Some believed Olga had fallen into the Wind River and drowned. The river was unpredictable, its currents strong, especially in autumn. But despite extensive searches with grappling hooks and boats, her body was never recovered. Others whispered darker theories, that William had killed her in a fit of anger and buried her body somewhere out in the empty plains. There were even claims that Olga had been seen boarding a train heading toward Denver under a false name, though no ticket records ever confirmed it. The longer the case went unsolved, the more speculation grew. In early 1935, months after Olga vanished, William claimed he received a letter postmarked from Utah. It was short, only a few lines, and signed, "Oh, I'm fine. Please don't look for me. Tell the children I love them." Handwriting experts couldn't conclusively match it to Olga. Some said it looked authentic. Others said it appeared forged. If the letter was real, it suggested she had left voluntarily. If it was fake, someone wanted people to stop asking questions. Either way, it deepened the mystery. As years passed, the case of Olga Mauger grew colder, but the questions surrounding it only multiplied. Why would a devoted mother abandon her children without explanation? Why leave in the middle of the night without money or a plan? And if she was the victim of foul play, where was her body? Locals remained divided. Some were convinced Olga had run away to escape an unhappy marriage. Others believed William's story didn't add up, that he'd staged her disappearance and sent the letter himself. Even decades later, investigators revisiting the file noted how thin the evidence truly was. No body, no confession, no physical clues, just a woman who vanished in the middle of a Wyoming night. In recent years, true crime researchers have revisited Olga's case, using modern psychology and investigative methods to analyze the limited records that remain. One theory suggests domestic abuse, citing the raised voices neighbors heard and the emotional distance Olga displayed before she disappeared. Another theory focuses on mental health, noting that the 1930s offered little support for women struggling with depression or anxiety. Perhaps Olga felt trapped, and leaving seemed like her only escape. But the most haunting theory of all is the simplest, that something happened near the river that night. Maybe Olga went out to clear her mind, slipped on the embankment, and fell into the current. The Wind River has claimed many lives over the years, and its strong, cold waters could have easily hidden a body forever. Without evidence, though, each possibility remains just that, a theory. Nearly a century later, Olga Mauger's disappearance remains unsolved. Her name appears occasionally in Wyoming's historical crime archives, but most residents of Riverton today have never heard of her. The Mauger home was torn down long ago. The bridge near where she was last seen has been replaced. Time has erased much of the physical evidence, but not the sense of unease her story left behind. For some locals, her name is almost like a ghost story, whispered among the older generations as a warning. Don't walk the riverbanks alone after dark. For others, it's a reminder of how fragile trust and truth can be, how a life can vanish in an instant, leaving only questions behind. What happened to Olga Mauger? Did she run? Was she taken? Did tragedy strike that cold October night? We may never know for sure, but one thing is certain. Her story remains one of Wyoming's most haunting mysteries, a case frozen in time, still waiting for answers that may never come. If you found this case as chilling as we did, don't forget to leave a comment below. Do you think Olga left by choice, or was foul play involved? Your thoughts might help keep her story alive. And if you enjoy true crime stories told with depth and respect, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another mystery. Until next time, stay safe. And remember, sometimes the quietest towns hold the darkest secrets.